Hey everybody, just want to make a quick introduction and overview video of my 2002 E39 M5. I've owned the car for a little over a year. It has just over 53,000 miles on it, and I put around 1,500 miles on the car. It's not a daily driver, but I try to get it out a few times a week. Weekend drive here, cars and coffee, grocery run, that sort of thing. But as soon as the salt hits the roads here in New England, it will go away for the winter. The car is a June 2002 build date. It's Le Mans blue over a Le Mans blue sport interior with Titan trim. When I was looking for E39s, I was rather agnostic about colors. I was really just looking for something that was the best sorted for my budget, but I'm very happy with this color. It has a lot of depth and the color changes in different lights. It's a darker blue when it's in the shade, as you can see here. And then, I don't know if we'll be able to catch it on the camera, but in direct sun, it's got a lot of purple undertones that are similar to sort of the Daytona purple or a techno violet purple. Again, I'm not really sure we're going to be able to capture them, but when the sun does hit it right, there are really pops of purple, and it looks really, really cool. Now, in terms of the car's background and how I got it, it was originally owned by a gentleman in Illinois who had it for over 20 years and put about 51,000 miles on it. He sold it to a dealer in Illinois where, as I understand it, it was part of the owner's personal collection, and he didn't really drive it much for about 2 years. And then he sold it to a dealer in Hickory, North Carolina, Cosmo Motors, and that's the dealership from whom I purchased the car. I bought the car sight unseen, but the guys at Cosmo sent me a bunch of videos, and I had a local shop do a PPI. The only real issues that were identified were that the tires were old and that the rear control arms were on their way out. So, feeling comfortable with the PPI, I bought the car, had Cosmo replace the control arms and put a new set of Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's on all around. The Carfax did show that there was an accident, a minor accident, I think it was 2004, that affected the rear door on the driver's side. I called the original dealer to see if they had any info on the accident, but seeing that it was 20 years ago, they didn't. Visually, you can't see anything, and the PPI didn't turn up anything either. And given that the car would have still been under warranty when the accident happened, I'm hoping that it was properly fixed by BMW. Now, in terms of overall condition, in general, the car is really in great shape. The folks that have worked on the car have said it's one of the nicest examples they've seen in years, so that's always comforting to hear. On the front, we've got a few little rock chips here. The badge is maybe looking a little tired and could be replaced. And then there's another few little rock chips along the front bumper, but not terribly surprising given the car is over 20 years old. The most noticeable little chips and dents are actually along the rear passenger door, which, if you can see, there's a little piece chunk here. There was some corrective work done here, and that's really the extent of it on the exterior. It's not too bad. Moving inside, you'll see the rear passenger seats don't really look like anyone has spent any time sitting in them. Pretty much as good as new. And I should note, they're the fixed rear seats. They're not the fold downs. Moving into the front, the driver's seat is actually really in nice condition. There's a few little marks here and there, but given other examples, I think it's in quite good shape. Try to keep that condition as much as possible. Center console has a few little marks along here, but not terrible. I am considering changing that out to a Euro center console just to have a little bit more space. Passenger seat also in great shape. The pixels and center console are great. On the dash, there's a few pixels out, but nothing terrible. Thinking about maybe sending that to Fixels to have them take care of that. The most noticeable issue is actually on the door handle, which you can see the Titan trim is sort of coming apart a little bit, peeling away. I've tried to find a replacement for that, but haven't had any luck. Everything seems to be either discontinued or out of stock, so If anybody has any suggestions, comments on where I can find that, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'd appreciate it. Now, in terms of modifications, a few have been made to the car. The first is I added a Dynon exhaust. I was looking at a couple different options, including the one from Fluid Motor Union, which sounds amazing, but I thought might be a little too loud. I ended up settling on the Dynon. I like it because it's a bit deeper and throatier at lower RPMs, and it doesn't get quite as loud at higher RPMs like the Super Sprint or Eisenman. It also doesn't sound quite as metallic as those systems. So overall, I think it's a nice compromise in terms of being a bit more aggressive without being too loud. Sort of, I think somebody I saw online describe it as sort of gentleman spec exhaust, which I think is the appropriate way of describing it. Moving on to underneath the hood, continuing with the Dynon theme, had a cold air intake and Dynon mass airflow sensors installed. I know some people are sort of on the fence about the cold air intake. I always thought it looked really good, so decided to go with it. I know there also have been some quality issues in the past with respect to, I think, particularly the labels. That seems to have been resolved. Now the Dynon is molded into the carbon fiber, which you can see there. So overall, very happy with the system. Definitely gives it a little bit of more intake noise than the stock system. Obviously, still have the yellow expansion tank. At some point, we'll probably take care of that. The only thing I didn't love about the Dynon kit was the fog light surrounds that it came with just left the intake area here an empty hole, and it kind of looked unfinished, and you could see a little flange that the surround would clip to, the original one that, you know, this is completely blacked out. So I was able to find these fog light surrounds, I think they're from Umnitsa, that match the mesh front intake down here, and I think just complete the look and make it a little more clean and professional, and ties everything together and makes it a bit more cohesive. I also added LED halos and LED fog lights. Particularly the fog lights make a big difference and provide a lot more illumination at night. The entire front of the car at night, just with the LEDs, looks a lot more contemporary, a little bit more fresh. Moving on to interior modifications, the first two I did were in the trunk, where I installed the blue bus, which is really, I think, a must-have for anybody with a car, a BMW of this generation. It's fantastic. I also did a Mark IV navigation. As you can see, it also came with, in terms of options, the M sound system. It did not come with, in terms of options, it did not come with the sunshades, but it does have the M audio. Some oil, just in case. Toolkit, not complete. That's something else that I'd probably like to, at some point, just completely build out and have a full set. I think would be nice. I don't know if the cargo mat is stock or not, but it's actually quite helpful to have. Then going to the interior of the car, one of the first things I did was get a set of ultimate pedals, which I think just clean up the driver's footwell, makes it a little sportier. Trying to find pedals was a bit of a challenge, as most of the pedal kits that you can get, the accelerator pedal cover is too short. For whatever reason, the M5 has a longer accelerator pedal than the other E39s. So if you look on Dynon and other manufacturers, the accelerator pedal's too short, which I wanted something obviously to cover the whole thing. So there's a shop in Florida called Ultimate Pedals that make kits that will fit the M5. So that was nice. I also did not gonna be able to see it now because it's daylight, but I did the interior LED kit, which, similar to doing the halos and the fogs, just makes things a little bit more contemporary. I think the sort of bluish light that you get from the LEDs also works well and sort of pops with the blue interior. Oh, and one other interior modification update I made was getting new floor mats. The original floor mats were with the car, and the tops were in pretty decent shape, but the bottoms were starting to peel and shed, which is rather common. So I decided to get a new set, and I think they look pretty good. You know, kick plates are also in good shape, fortunately. To wrap up this video, I'll just echo what most of you watching already know. This is just a great car. Naturally aspirated 400 horsepower V8, driving the rear wheels via 6-speed manual, all wrapped in one of the most beautiful sedan designs of the modern era. You know, what's not to like? And as much as I love the car, what's also great is how much other enthusiasts love the car. Whenever I take it out and run into an enthusiast at a gas station, the grocery store, wherever, people are always excited to see it and chat. And I think that's one of the coolest things about owning an E39 M5. You don't see them much anymore, so seeing one is special. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.